Hi, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be reading part 4 of Matilda. If you don't know what we're talking about, go check out part 1, part 2 and part 3 so then you can follow on. If you remembered all the other parts, then you can follow in. Let's get started. So we got up to Mr. Wormwood, the great card dealer. Matilda's parents owned quite a nice house with 3 bedrooms upstairs, while on the ground floor there was a dining room, a living room and a kitchen. Her father was a dealer in second-hand cars, and it seemed he did pretty well at it. Sawdust, he would say proudly, is one of the great secrets of my success, and it costs me nothing. I get it through from the sawmill. What do you use it for? Matilda asked him. Ha! The father said. Wouldn't you like to know? I don't see how sawdust can help you to sell second-hand cars, Daddy. That's because you're an ignorant little twit, the father said. His speech was never delicate, but Matilda was used to it. She also knew that he liked to boast, and she would egg him on shamelessly. You must be very clever to find a use for something that costs nothing, she said. I wish I could do it too. You wouldn't, the father said. You're too stupid. But I don't mind telling young Mike here about it, seeing he'll be joining me in the business one day. Ignoring Matilda, he turned to his son and said, I'm always glad to buy a car when some fool has been crushing the gears so badly they're all worn out and rattle like mad. I get it cheap. Then all I do is mix a lot of sawdust with the oil and the gearbox, and it runs as sweet as a nut. How long will it run like that before it starts rattling again? Matilda asked him. Long enough for the buyer to get a good distance away, the father said, grinning. About 100 miles. But that's dishonest, Daddy, Matilda said. It's cheating. No one ever got rich being honest, the father said. Customers are there to be diddled. Mr. Wormwood was a small, ratty-looking man, whose front teeth stuck out underneath a thin, ratty moustache. He liked to wear jackets with large, brightly coloured checks, and he sported ties that were usually yellow or pale green. Now take mileage, for instance, he went on. Anyone who's buying a second-hand car, the first thing he wants to know is how many miles it's done, right? Right, the son said. So I buy an old dump that's got about 150,000 miles on it, on the clock. I get it cheap, but no one's going to buy it with a mileage like that, are there? And these days you can't just take the speedometer and fiddle the numbers back like you used to 10 years ago. They've fixed it so it's impossible to tamper with it unless you're a Rudy watchmaker or something. So what? I do? I use my brains, laddie. That's what I do. How? Young Mike asked, fascinated. He seemed to have inherited his father's love of croquet. I sit down and say to myself, how can I convert a mileage reading of 150,000 into only 10,000 without taking the speedometers long enough then speedo to pieces? Well, if I were to run the car backwards for long enough, then obviously that would do it. The numbers would click backwards, wouldn't they? But who's going to drive a flaming car in reverse for thousands and thousands of miles? You couldn't do it. Of course you couldn't, young Michael said. So I scratch my head, the father said. I use my brains. When you've been given a fine brain like I have, you've got to use it. And all of a sudden, the answer hit me. I tell you, I felt exactly like that other brilliant fellow must have felt when he discovered penicillin Aruka, I cried. I've got it. What did you do, Dad? The son asked him. The speedometer, Mr. Wormwood said. It is run for a cable that is pulled up to one of the front wheels. So first I disconnect the cable where it joins the front wheel. Next I get one of those high-speed electric drills and I couple that up to the end of the cable in such a way that when the drill turns, it turns the cable backwards. You got me so far? You following me? Yes, Daddy, young Michael said. These drills run at tremendous speed, the father said. So when I switch on the drill, the mileage numbers on the speedo spin backwards at the fantastic rate. I can knock 50,000 miles off the clock in a few minutes with my high-speed electric drill. So I hope you like this video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll see you next time. Bye!